They're just mad that Joe Biden won. So they're coming up with this fake impeachment inquiry. They're lying. And the election denialism thing, that is a coping mechanism. I'm so sick of people saying, oh, the left are so emotionally driven. They want to say that they can be all these different genders. They want to identify as a cat and have litter boxes in schools. And they manufacture all these stupid conspiracy theories and drama. Oh, yeah, the sexy Eminem. They tried to take away your boots. Mr. Potato Head. They want to call him just Potato Head. They say the left does, and that's such a huge issue. They come up with all this fucking bullshit and they get so triggered by the stupidest stuff, and then they say the left is emotionally driven. It's like, bro, you literally manufactured a conspiracy theory because you were mad that your daddy lost the election. You made up all this fucking bullshit because you couldn't accept the truth. Then you say, oh, Hillary Clinton couldn't accept she lost. She conceded the next day. You can say whatever you want. No, you're the fucking emotionally driven one. And that's also why the more uneducated you are, statistically, the more likely you are to vote for Trump. So the Republicans have launched a frivolous impeachment inquiry based on absolutely no evidence in the House of Representatives because they are so obsessed with trying to tear down President Biden, who is overseeing a booming economy, over 14 million jobs created under his watch, which is partly thanks to the bipartisan infrastructure bill, the Inflation Reduction Act, and the Chips and Science Act, which is bringing back manufacturing. So many of these great laws and economic indicators, like the unemployment rate being at 3.7%, GDP being at 5.2% for the third quarter of 2023. And I could go on and on about the positives of the economy. That's not to say that there aren't issues like housing prices, car prices, and all these things. That being said, you'd have to be pretty dim and be too consumed with right-wing, far-right accounts and basically live on social media, which is basically spreading this doom and gloom narrative about the economy, to believe that the economy isn't, by most indicators, pretty damn solid. And that's not to say there isn't work to be done. I believe in Medicare for all. I believe in free education. I believe in all of these more progressive priorities that Joe Biden might not believe in. But we're going to nominate a strong progressive in 2028 to finish the job that Joe Biden has partly contributed to. And that's because Joe Biden's not stepping down. He's the incumbent president. He's already defeated Trump before, and he's going to defeat him in 2024, God willing. So the impeachment inquiry, the GOP-controlled House on Wednesday voted to authorize this impeachment inquiry into President Joe Biden, a formal step Republicans believe will grant them the ability to better enforce their subpoenas in the courts. The vote was along party lines, with all Republicans voting yes and all Democrats voting no, from NBC News. So from the right supports the inquiry, arguing that a formal process is necessary in order to fully investigate Joe Biden's alleged wrongdoing. Yeah, in order to fully investigate, that is their main priority because they have not found an inkling of evidence to support the idea that he's committed any sort of crime or wrongdoing that is an impeachable offense. Quote, I have never talked with my son or my brother or anyone else in the distant family about their business interests, period, Biden said in 2019. Actually, he had. My son has not made money in terms of a thing about, what are you talking about, China? Biden insisted in 2020 the records show that his son's firm made $11 million there. That's not true, Biden said this year when asked whether Hunter Biden's business associates sent over $1 million to 3 of your family members. As it happened, it was. So, what the fuck are they even trying to get at here? I mean, this is kind of just grasping at straws, talking about their businesses, how much money they made, this random stuff that Joe Biden said. It's like, okay, get to the point. Where's your evidence of any suspected wrongdoing? Even if what they're saying is true and maybe he made some inaccurate financial statements, it's like, okay, where's the impeachable offense here? In theory, the media ought to be keenly interested in informing the country of where things stand. In practice, its leading lights have effectively been working for the president. Yeah, right. When they're saying basically anything that fucking happens, oh, why this is bad for Biden? Oh, why Biden is gonna lose the fucking 2024 election? Oh, Trump is up. Trump is up. He got impeached twice. He got 91 criminal charges. He might be going to prison. Oh, this is bad for Biden. Oh, why Biden's definitely gonna lose. You know, why we're not talking about Joe Biden's accomplishments. No one knows what Biden's accomplishments are because we didn't fucking report on them enough. We're not talking about all of this progress being made under Biden. If the GOP is to have any chance of conveying what it has found thus far, and despite the foot stamping and gaslighting, what it has found thus far is extremely interesting. It will be obliged to do so under its own steam. From Charles C. W. Cook from the National Review. After years of suppressing the scandal, the media and even some Democrats now admit Hunter Biden and his uncles have long been involved in influence peddling. The United States has led global efforts to criminalize and deter this common form of corruption for years. Recent testimony from Biden associates confirmed they were selling the Biden brand, and Joe Biden regularly called into meetings and met with business associates. The last line of defense has been to argue that while millions may have been sent to Biden family members in raw influence peddling, there is no evidence Joe actually benefited from the money as opposed to his children, brothers, and grandchildren. This false narrative is being repeated despite the fact courts have rejected this claim in actual criminal cases. Not only have payments to children and other family members been viewed as benefits to a defendant, but the same is true in impeachments. I served as lead counsel in the last judicial impeachment tried before the Senate. My client, Judge G. Thomas Porteous, had been impeached by the House for, among other things, benefits received by his children, including gifts related to a wedding from Jonathan Turley from the New York Post. So they're saying it's influence peddling, businesses overseas, and this is then benefiting the Biden family. Well, it's not illegal to have businesses in other countries. Am I saying that I agree with this? No. That being said, I don't understand where the crime comes in here. It is kind of shady to make money overseas and to bring that back, especially when you are correlated to politicians. That being said, the idea that Joe Biden is directly involved in this and that he's ordering them to do things to help him and directly benefit his family, there's no evidence of these specific allegations that has even come to the light, which is why, oh, we want to investigate them so we can find all this evidence. It's like, yeah, that's because you don't have any to begin with, which is a problem. This is purely a witch hunt, and a real witch hunt, unlike how Donald Trump says everything is a witch hunt, whereas he stole hundreds of classified documents on his way out after trying to overthrow an election. He lost by 7 million votes to illegally keep himself in power. He claims everything is a witch hunt and that everything is rigged against him when he loses. He even said something to that effect on the 2016 debate stage. As what people thought was a joke, it ended up being true in 2020 when he said it was rigged. He even said in 2016 it was rigged that he didn't win the popular vote, which he lost by 2.5 million votes. Then in 2020, he lost by almost 8 million votes. The White House is stonewalling House GOP demands for documents that might shed light on Joe's interactions with his son. Government lawyers have accompanied witnesses to interviews and limited their responses. Hunter Biden on Wednesday defiantly refused to comply with duly issued subpoenas from 2 House committees. He came and he volunteered to testify publicly and to actually be questioned by House Republicans. Why didn't they accept this? They didn't accept that because they don't want to be made fools of, and they know that they don't know what the fuck they're talking about, and they have absolutely no evidence. He even said, I think it was kind of badass, I'm not a huge fan of Hunter. He did commit crimes, petty crimes, I would argue, compared to what fucking Trump has done, but he was there on Capitol Hill and was like, well, people have always been saying, where's Hunter? I'm right here. Yeah, he was. And y'all don't want to talk to him. You don't want to confront him on this because you know you're fucking full of shit. Republicans will now have to go to court to obtain cooperation, and formal impeachment authority gives them muscle in that fight. From Kimberly A. Strassel from the Wall Street Journal. From the left opposes the inquiry, arguing that Republicans do not have sufficient evidence of wrongdoing by Joe Biden. One key piece of evidence Republicans have cited from Hunter Biden's business associate Devin Archer's testimony is that Biden participated in roughly 20 phone calls with Hunter's business contacts. However, Archer stressed those encounters consisted of small talk like the weather and not issues of substance. Archer also testified that he hadn't seen President Biden attempt to use his office to help Hunter advance his career. Yeah, exactly. So their own fucking whistleblower was not backing up their claims that Biden was personally involved, and in these phone calls, he's trying to get personally benefited from these businesses. Overall, House Republicans' investigations have not found any actual concrete proof of wrongdoing by President Biden. From Li Zhu from Vox. Hunter Biden would never have earned most of the money he allegedly dodged paying, $1.4 million in federal taxes over 4 years, if not for his last name. Lacking the experience in the energy sector, he had no other qualifications for the board of directors of Burisma, the Ukrainian firm that hired him in 2014. That should have been a scandal when Joe Biden was vice president. It was also a mistake, albeit an understandable one, for the older Mr. Biden to insist later that his son had done nothing wrong when he clearly has behaved so grossly, personally and professionally, nor nor should the president have falsely claimed in October 2020 that his son has not made money in China. But while Hunter Biden used the illusion of access to make money and coercively invoked his father in text messages seeking payment from a Chinese business associate, that does not mean Joe Biden took official acts at the behest of his son. The legal processes will now decide Hunter Biden's fate, but on the current evidence, the sins of the son should not be visited upon the father, from the editorial board of the Washington Post. Yeah, absolutely true. Like I already said, it's influence peddling. I think that's actually a fair point, that is wrong. It's just, where does this square off to Biden personally benefiting from it, and Biden should be impeached? Sustained scrutiny of Hunter Biden's corrupt business dealings have turned up no evidence that Biden committed any crime, despite the breathless talk of foreign cash coursing through the Biden crime family, and yet more lurid displays of the contents of Hunter Biden's laptop. What's more, even if shady facts about the president's finances had come to light during the attention-grabbing hearings, the awkward fact remains that during this period in question, Joe Biden was not holding public office. Exactly, he was a private citizen. The articles of impeachment clearly lay out the conditions for prospective removal of a president as a result of the abuse of executive powers. If this fanciful version of impeachment were to stand, then a re-elected Donald Trump could be hauled up on charges stemming from his sexual assault of Jean Carroll and his payoff of Stormy Daniels, acts that preceded his term in office and carry a good deal more moral and legal stigma than parental car loans from Chris Lehman, The Nation. Yeah, exactly. If you can impeach someone for an offense they committed before becoming president, when Donald Trump becomes president, impeach him for the classified documents. If the Democrats win back the House, that is, which is looking likely in 2024. He stole hundreds of classified documents, hid them in insecure places like his bathroom. He had a Russian-speaking Ukrainian who was a fugitive and came under a different name into Mar-a-Lago, has videos of her with Donald Trump golfing with him amidst the classified documents being strung about. There's all these images. That's why the FBI executed the search warrant, which was accepted by a judge after the National Archives tried to get back the documents for over a year. Well, he can be impeached for that. That's a good point, that you're trying to impeach Joe Biden for something he did before becoming president. That doesn't really make any sense, and that's not what an impeachment is. It's for high crimes and misdemeanors, presumably that took place when they were in office. Arguably the most serious of Donald Trump's crimes is trying to overthrow the election. It seems like before that day where Donald Trump said that the election was rigged, America was fundamentally different, and there were people, for example, saying when Mitt Romney lost in 2012, oh, this is rigged. I even went back and you can see Facebook posts from 2012 when it was called that Barack Obama won. You can find comments that say, oh, this is rigged. You can find comments about that with Hillary Clinton losing in 2016. Democrats will say that. That being said, that was based on alleged Russian collusion. There actually was Russian collusion, which people were actually sentenced to prison for. There was actually evidence to that. I don't think anyone was claiming votes were being printed. They didn't go after people like Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss and try to defame them and open themselves up to like $147 million lawsuits that Rudy Giuliani has to pay for now. I don't know why Trump wasn't named in that lawsuit as well. You don't want to both sides this here, because Donald Trump just says everything is rigged. In 2016, Hillary Clinton did win the popular vote, and there was Russian collusion, and Donald Trump still became president, so obviously people were upset with that. And now people are just upset because they love Donald Trump. He's their daddy. They want to kiss his nutsack. And they're just mad that Joe Biden won. So then they're coming up with this fake impeachment inquiry. They're lying. And the election denialism thing is a coping mechanism. I'm so sick of people saying that, oh, the left are so emotionally driven. They want to say that they can be all these different genders. They want to identify as a cat and have litter boxes in schools. And they manufacture all these stupid conspiracy theories and drama, like the sexy Eminem. They tried to take away her boots and all these just nonsense. Mr. Potato Head, they want to call him just Potato Head. They say the left does, and that's such a huge issue. They come up with all this fucking bullshit, and they get so triggered by the stupidest stuff, and then they say the left is emotionally driven. It's like, bro, you literally manufactured a conspiracy theory because you were mad that your daddy lost the election. So then you made up all this fucking bullshit because you couldn't accept the truth. You couldn't accept reality, okay? Then you say, oh, Hillary Clinton couldn't accept she lost. She conceded the next day. You can say whatever you want. No, you're the fucking emotionally driven one. And that's also why the more uneducated you are, statistically, the more likely you are to vote for Trump. That's why the polls were so off in 2016, is because it was underestimated how many non-college educated whites would go for Trump, especially in the swing states. It's absolutely ridiculous, just the lies and how backwards it is. It's all projection, and that's true. It's all projection from the right. And this impeachment inquiry is projection from the right. And the idea that Democrats just want to kill and make children suffer is also projection from the right, as explored in this video where I go over Kate Cox's abortion nightmare.